From the Hey Did You Ever See That Movie studios in downtown Boston, it's showtime. All right, all you Gen Xers, welcome to Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my squirrely little co-host, Lynn.
Everything you saw, I wanted you to see.
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
Hello, everyone.
And last but not least, the podcaster, Packing Heat, Tony 2.0.
Have you ever been fishing? The bait always dies.
This week, it's not good to be a shiner. This week, we'll be discussing the 2004 crime drama, Taking Lives, written by John Bon Jovi and directed by DJ Caruso, starring Angelina Jolie, Ethan Hawke, Kiefer Sutherland, and Gina Rollins. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. But first, let's run the trailer.
My son was a deeply, deeply disturbed person. How can I explain to you how dangerous he was? No, not was. Is.
She's not a cop. She doesn't need evidence, doesn't need facts. All she needs is a murder site and a body, and that's all we have.
Special Agent Scott? There hasn't been a murder like this in years.
The smashing of the face and the cutting off the hands. It's the sexual element. It's what turns him on.
That's James Costa. He claims he saw most of what happened.
Look, I'm doing my best here. That man's face was half gone. I saw the man who did this, okay? I saw him, and I can show you what he looks like.
Could that be your son?
It could be, but my son died 19 years ago.
Taking lives. That's what Martin Asher's been doing for almost 20 years. His first victim, he covered it up with a car accident to fake his own death, and then he took the boy's identity. He's like a hermit crab. He outgrows one shell, and he starts looking for a new one. Tim. All of these men have something in common. Simply a life different from his own.
He knows that I'm cooperating with the police. The bait always dies.
It is our best shot at catching this guy.
My son is a very dangerous man.
What did you tell the police about me?
It's him!
After all these fun games we've been playing, all this time that I've put into it, you have something that I
want. Something terrible is going to happen.
Please, if you're listening on YouTube, take a moment, like, subscribe, and share. But at the very least, just like. Leave us a comment. It helps the algorithm, helps the show grow. We would really appreciate that. If you're listening on Apple, leave us a 5-star review. Share it with a friend. And of course, leave us a comment. Head over to Printify. We want you guys to head over to our merch store. We've got some really great stuff for you. We got a nice t-shirt. We've got a great coffee mug, and we've got some Halloween swag that should be up there in a couple of days. So get over to the store. It's at vvr.printify, printify.me. So get over there, help support the show. This is not free. We pay for it out of our own pockets, and it would really help us out, and you would get a great piece of Hey Did You Ever See That Movie merch. Did we get any mail this week? Can we head over to the mailbag?
We did get some mail. So our listener, Kathleen, wrote in and mentioned how much she appreciated our improved audio with the new stuff that we're adding. And she also requested that we fast track Good Will Hunting. So that one is after Halloween. we're definitely going to get to that one. Maybe that will be a good November title. And also, Movie Dad from Melbourne, Australia on Instagram commented, "Hey, just wanted to say I recently discovered your podcast. It's become my new addiction. I've only been listening for a short time, but I've smashed through so many episodes and I'm absolutely loving it. Keep up the great work, guys." Thanks, Movie Dad.
Movie Dad,
Thanks, Movie Dad.
Right on, right on. Thank
we
you,
don't
brother.
get paid to do this. And when we get heartfelt messages like that, I got to tell you, Movie Dad, it makes it all worthwhile. It really does. I'm not just saying that. It means a lot to us to get messages like that. To know you guys are out there listening and enjoying the show. I hope you didn't go too far back because our audio used to suck ass. What were you wondering, Mikki?
I was wondering if Movie Dad had a movie request.
Yeah, Movie Dad. Do you have a movie request?
I did mention to Movie Dad that we were open to requests, and I think he was going to put on his thinking cap and get back to us. So
just not Magnolia.
Not Magnolia.
We already did Magnolia, dear. We can't do it again.
So the AC conked out in our fucking condo. And
shit.
We live in New England. It's October. Like, it should be fucking freezing in here. But I am up in the studio sweating my dick off right now. I'm drinking a hot Cafex out of my aforementioned Frank Stallone mug. And in it, I have got the new seasonal apple pie fucking edible mixed with some nice caramel creamer, which is a oat creamer. So I've got a caramel apple pie Cafex in Frank Stallone. It's delicious.
When are we reaching out to Cafex for the sponsorship,
I know,
bro?
we
You
should be
mention them
doing that.
every episode. We have got to get that plug to pay.
Yeah, if you're
What
a
the
coffee
hell?
drinker and you want to get off coffee, I suggest Cafex. It's absolutely amazing. And you get it in the red tin, you won't be disappointed. So I'm going to share a quick
Can
story.
you stop? It's the same shit every fucking episode.
Yeah, well, consistency makes a great show,
Yeah,
Delin.
exactly, Delin. Dylan, what's up with that name, Delin? Fucking Jesus. All right.
Well,
What's
we
up with
just
that
gave
name,
her we just
Des?
gave her a new name a minute ago, right,
Mikki.
Nick? What'd you call her?
Deneen.
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 So I'm going to run a little scenario by Mikki and Tony, and we're going to see if you guys think I was in the wrong. So Deneen and I were heading out to the casino the other day, and we stopped for a little bite to eat. There were French fries involved in this bite to eat. So I had the French fries. She was driving. I had the French fries on my lap, and I put a little ketchup on the thing. She, like a fucking hyena, reaches over like with a herky-jerky arm, grabs a French fry, over dips this thing, whips it back over in her direction. A big slop of ketchup goes on my freshly washed blue jeans right before we go to the casino. So now I've got this quarter-size ketchup stain on my pants. So what I did was I took a French fry, I dipped it in ketchup, and I smushed it on her jeans. And I said, there, now we both have a quarter-size ketchup on our pants. Was I out of line, Mikki?
Yes and no. Only because when you're at the casino, nobody's fucking looking at what you're wearing.
Okay. Tony, was I out of line?
I was actually going to ask if you were playing at the casino or just attending as a gambler, because nothing personal, but Des, calm down, okay? It's just ketchup.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. If that's the worst thing that happens to you all fucking day, you're living a charmed life, son.
Final
It was
question.
literally like he had the wrapper from the burger in his
Yeah,
lap.
yeah.
He put a little thing of ketchup on the side. I dipped, I went like this, and it went bloop, and I was like, oh shit. And then the next thing you know, he's got a ketchup, and he's like, on my
listen.
leg, and I'm like,
I think I painted a pretty clear picture. So Tony,
I think you didn't. You were definitely skewing it in your own direction.
Tony.
You were like, she was like a hyena.
By the way,
And
what is a
and then-
herky-jerky arm? That's a great descriptor, but I don't know what exactly
it's
it
called.
means.
It's called pulling the French fry back way too fast from the pile of ketchup, causing
'cause
inertia.
there's a definite amount of time you need to remain in the ketchup prior to retrieving the fry.
It's the whipping action of her arm coming out of that
Whipping.
glob of ketchup. That,
Whip. It's
There was
whipped.
no whip.
yeah, there was
There was
inertia.
no whip. There was no whip. There was no nay.
So, Tony, had you put yourself in the same position, had you rubbed that French fry on Mickey's new fresh jeans on the way to the casino, what kind of trouble are you in?
I would have been struck about the head and shoulders repeatedly. Are you kidding? She would have fucking had a cow kick my
All right,
ass.
guys, write in. Was I overreacting? Should I have just wore that ketchup to the casino and let her go with fresh jeans, even though
A firm, brother.
No.
A firm.
Okay, there we go. Enough of that bullshit. Our next show, we will be doing the original Scream with the original flavor Tony. So there you go. We will be revisiting a classic horror movie.
I still need to listen to Conjuring.
Yes, The Conjuring.
so
It's
good.
great. Very scary. Very scary. Okay, let's do some opening thoughts on this one. So, I've never even heard of this movie before. Never heard of it. Never seen it before. Mikki and Tony brought it to the podcast. So I guess the question is, was it any good? We're going to find out. Delyn, were you familiar with the movie?
Absolutely not. I knew nothing, and I was stunned because I like Angelina Jolie. I like Ethan Hawke. I was like, how did I miss this?
Yeah. Mikki and Tony, I'm assuming you both have seen it since you requested it.
Yes. I don't know if Tony had.
You assume wrong. Yeah, I had obviously taken part and parcel, but only because I wanted to keep my sanity and my wife. So I agreed with her and said, we'd love to watch it. But no, I had never heard of it nor seen it previously.
Okay.
But
Just so you know, there was other movies that I really did want to do, and someone is a little sissy pants and doesn't like scary movies.
I don't like
we already
scary
have a
movies
guy
either.
that does the horror. We don't need to double up on the horror.
Listen,
Okay.
I'm so sick of watching murder, stab and kill, fucking human on human violence. It's like, I want to watch movies like Meet the Parents. Like, I'm just not interested in all this fucking like brain rot fucking violence. I just hate it. I don't even know why it's entertaining to people, but whatever. Okay, let's
That's
do
why you liked Hall Pass so much.
I loved Hall Pass. I loved it.
Fucking diarrhea jokes. It's like, this is feeding my soul. I'm fucking higher level than everybody else.
All right.
Oh boy, I stepped on a landmine with that one. Sorry, kids.
Okay.
My fault.
Okay.
It's outbursts like that make me wish we had the cameras on.
Yeah, for the rest of the audience to enjoy.
Okay.
I should say we do have the cameras on, but so the world could see that because that was fucking amazing.
The world's not ready for this.
Yeah. Not quite ready for prime time.
With a box office budget of $37 million and a box office gross of $48.5 million, this was basically a push. I'm sure the studio wasn't excited with that return, with the amount of firepower they had for actors in this. They had some pretty heavy hitters. I think that might have brought in a little bit more money. Let me give you guys another in-depth synopsis like I do each week. A murder spree in Montreal where the killer embracing his victims' identities leads to an investigation by FBI agent Ileana Scott. Her bond with an art dealer is crucial to saving the case. There you go.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I loved it.
Every week.
In 1983, teenagers Martin Asher and Matt Soulsby meet on a bus to Mont-Laurier, Quebec. Martin is an awkward teenager, and he appears drawn to the gregarious and fun Matt. The bus breaks down, and the two acquire a car, which soon blows a tire. As Matt changes the tire, Martin comments that they are about the same height and kicks him into the path of an oncoming truck, killing both him and the driver. Taking Matt's guitar and clothes, Martin continues on foot, singing in a voice similar to Matt's. So they 100% fooled me with this opening scene. I was 100% thinking this kid is flashing this big envelope of money. The other kid's got the fucking big eyes looking at the money. And I'm going, this is it. He's going to take this kid's money and take off with it. So I was so stunned when he pushed the other boy into the road. It was shocking to me.
So again, this week I did the same thing I did when we watched Seven. I took my notes as I was watching the movie. So as I take you through my thoughts, things might change as it unfolds. So you might hear me say something, say, well, but Des, that's not, of course. So I'm going through it as I went through it. I thought it would be fun. We're going to go on the investigation of this movie together. So I saw this differently than Delyn did. First off, I knew this was going to be a good movie for two reasons. First, we get two great actors giving great performances right out of the gate. I love these two kids. Secondly, I already knew this would be great storytelling by this quick character setup. We learn very quickly that Martin is running from something and is a mousy invert, right? We also learned that Matt is a sketchy wild boy, and together, polar opposites always makes for a great movie. Next, we get the scene where they're trying to buy the car. Now, this is amazing writing because I'm already on the case, and either one of these guys could be the killer. Matt has a credit card he claims is his father's, but I'm thinking this could be his last victim's credit card, right? It would make perfect sense. But then Martin has a big bag of money and he's on the run. So he could also be a killer that just robbed his last guy, or they could both be killers and this could be fucking, Bonnie and Clyde. So I'm really loving that. I'm 10 minutes in. I have circumstantial evidence on 2 suspects. Next, we get this great scene where Martin gleefully murders Matt in cold blood. So I scratch one of my suspects off, and my investigation is over. I already know who the killer is now.
I know who the bad guy is now.
Coming. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. And again, I'm going to applaud the writer. I'm excited to see where this thing goes because I had it completely wrong 10 minutes in. And I'm fully engaged with this movie. I'm paying attention. I'm trying to solve the case. It's easy to fucking digest, unlike Magnolia, which sucked ass. And finally, this montage of murders and our killer's efforts to hide his identity is about as creepy as it gets. I thought this was a great montage.
I love the music that they used in this movie. Bad is my favorite U2 song. It's weird. It didn't really fit the film, but I liked that they used it, if that makes any sense. And I think that the kid, Paul Dano, the guy that plays Martin, is such a creepy.
Yeah.
In every film that he does, he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. Sadly, he's completely typecast because he'll never get another role in his entire career.
Very, very, very cold-hearted, pushing Matt in front of the car. And they kind of leave you in suspense, like, who's the shithead here and who's going to be the victim? What I thought was super kind of eerie and very unsettling, and why I thought he was great in this role, the little like hint of a smile he gives when the guy in the car rolls over, and then he sees Matt like on the ground. Like you can see it's super subtle, and you're not like, it's almost hard. It's easy to miss, if I should say that. And then as he's walking through the field carrying Matt's stuff, and he's just singing, and that to me is like classic psychopath behavior. Like that was so unsettling to me. More than seeing him push Matt in front of the car was that to me.
Yeah. And the music that was playing behind him as he walked up the hill, that in my opinion, this movie is scarier if they stick with the kid on the killing spree in the 80s. It just had this really organic, creepy vibe to the movie that kind of lightened up and polished up once we got to modern day.
Yeah, I concur with both of you guys. Paul Dano, definite props to you, brother, because you've got that shit nailed down tight. Not only that, but the idea too that it's almost like he plays slow to be underwhelming on purpose, right? You can see the wheels turning. The difference is he's not giving you kind of speed that goes with his brain, which is thinking 3 moves ahead. And when you do see him, it's the true sociopath, where he doesn't associate death and murder with anything more than, changing his socks or going to do the laundry. You know what I mean? To him, it's just normal life, no biggie. And it's well done. Our friend John Botenkamp, not John
Mellencamp,
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi, sorry,
John Mellencamp,
who wrote this wonderful plot, loves to do the change of direction, the revelation, the impact. He's got it squared away, and he's going to keep you, constantly playing that game where who's what, when, where, how, and why. So.
Tony, didn't you want to see more of this actor, the kid, in the very beginning? He was so good. He was, yeah,
absolutely. My thing too, though, is that you've got to build out to the idea that when we get deeper in the film, we realize why we only got that 10 or 12 minutes of him, because of the progression this killer has with his kind of victims as they make that eloquent statement about the hermit crab.
Right.
It's broken out for you as to why we only got a little snippet, but you're absolutely right. He does a great job, and he's that guy.
Something about the wolf in the sheep's clothing, though, like this kid seems so he just doesn't seem dangerous. But then, like Mikki said, in those moments where he gets his opportunity, his victims turn their back on him because there's nothing to fear. And then we see that look in his eye, and it's like, wow, this kid is even more dangerous than, Michael Myers. Like, sure, you see it coming a mile away. He's got a white face and a butcher knife. This kid is so unassuming. You turn your back for 3 seconds and he's smashing your face in with a rock. Like, I wanted to see more of that. And I get it. it's a completely different movie. But hear me out on this. How cool would it be if they did Taking Lives 2, and it's the first 10 years of this kid's life? So it's everything leading up to the opening of this movie in the construction site. So the last scene in this next movie would be him burying that bicycle rider in the site. Wouldn't that be cool? I would watch it.
Well, you're kind of sick and twisted, but we love you anyway. It's okay.
I think it would have been cool also to kind of go back and tell the story that Gina Rowlands tells later on to Angelina Jolie about their childhood. I think that would have been interesting. Or some flashbacks or something.
21 years later, a body is found in a construction site in Montreal, and FBI profiler Ileana Scott is summoned by Inspector Leclerc to help when they start to suspect that they have a serial killer on the loose. Ileana is met with cool indifference from some of the force, but is welcomed by others who are baffled by the crimes. We witness Ileana's commitment to her work when she pins up photos of the crime scenes all over her hotel room, including over the bed and on the chair she faces while eating her dinner. The day after she arrives, another victim is found, and this time there's an eyewitness. James Costa is an art dealer who saw the attack and attempted to resuscitate the victim. After being interrogated, he is released, though police plan to keep an eye on him. Costa also offers a drawing of the man he says is the perpetrator. So the way they do this interview of Costa is really interesting because as a viewer of these kind of movies, you're set up to distrust and suspect everybody that you come across in the movie. But he acts so innocently, and as Ileana says, he's doing everything that a normal person would do. So you're lulled into this sense of false security, or are you? Like, you don't really know, just like she doesn't really know, and the police don't really know, which is an interesting wrinkle to start us off with.
You're going to notice in my notes tonight that this movie reminds me a lot of Seven. Like, there's a million parallels between the two movies. It's a tip of the hat. This isn't a coincidence. Obviously, this director saw Seven and was inspired by it. So next we get a nice setup to this modern day killer movie, right? This is a modern day serial killer movie opposed to Almost Famous, which is what we were about to get. Like, we're about to get Almost Famous with a killer, right? That's what I was feeling. And it would have been so cool. But we get this modern day serial killer movie. We get a body. We get what I assume is Martin's mother saying her dangerous son, who was thought to be dead, is now walking around Canada, and Special Agent Ileana being brought in to help with the case. I really love this scene with Ileana Scott laying in the grave because, much like in Seven, it tells us that, like William Somerset, she's a detective that thinks outside the box. I mean, this is almost the same setup we get to William in Seven. We get the good cop, bad cop. Again, very similar to Seven with Paquette and Duvall. And again, we get a nice little setup that's very easy to understand while also being very interesting, unlike Magnolia that just sucked. So next we get this great exposition for Ileana where she lays out her hypothesis of the murder. I love this for two reasons. First, this is a terrifying, like, this is literally how I felt at the moment. This is a terrifying notion that somebody could be watching you for weeks, plotting your murder while you're clueless to the motives, just walking around. But this person is planning to the T how they're going to smash your face in with a rock, right? Next, she mentions that the killer smashed in the face of the victim. And we already know this is something Martin enjoyed in the first kill. So this kind of takes off the table that it could be someone else. We know that it's going to be Martin. And finally, and I know Delyn and Mickey are going to love this, she's letting Paquette know she is the alpha dog in the group and to relax with his attitude. I also like the touch of her eating dinner, looking at the crime scene photos, because it's telling me this woman has basically seen it all. And finally, in my notes, we go to the interview. This is wildly entertaining for me. First off, I love Ethan Hawke. Love Ethan Hawke. Amazing actor. I was saying to Delyn, he's like that janky handsome. Like, he's handsome, but he's also like goofy and busted a little bit. It's really weird. And I loved Ileana kicking Paquette in his fucking balls over and over again with her next level investigation skills. There's something satisfying about seeing an underqualified dick get schooled by a woman that he is trying to fucking like misogynistically fucking keep down, and he just can't because she's too good.
Well, that's hard to follow, but I'm going to do my best. I'll concur with you on many points. You have to immediately respect our friend Ileana, because the opening scene where she's lying in the grave and they come up to her and they're just like dumbfounded. You see our level of kind of investment in the case. She's obviously a person who throws her body, heart, and soul in what she's doing. The photos are great, but it is to the idea that, like you said, she's seen it all. My thing is that, how do we say it correctly? Believe it or not, even FBI profilers don't really do crimes. I'm not going to go there, but whatever. We'll go with the idea that it works because we're in Montreal. And
or didn't you say they don't go to Canada in the first place or something?
Yeah, they're the FBI. They stay within the borders of the United States of America, unless it's American citizens that are being killed and whatever. So fuck realism, but it is what it is. Long and the short, you hit it on the head. There's always that one guy who's going to try to throw his weight around because he's one of the locals and he's all butthurt because he got subverted or he didn't get the lead investigator in the case or whatever.
Right.
I do want to say a quick word about Leclerc, the actor that plays him. Unfortunately, I cannot pronounce his name, but he is a guy that's been around for a long, long time, and I've always enjoyed his performance. Usually he's more a dramatic character. Here he's just kind of a buffer in between Ileana and Paquette. But he's that guy that's kind of playing the senior boss, and Paquette, for all his pissing and moaning and whining, is still the low man on the pole. And it's like, dude, you're already at a disadvantage with your boss. Now you've got this bone you're picking with this young lady who's going to fucking turn you out if you're not careful. What are you thinking? Get your head out of your ass. Stop being a moron. Get on the team. Come in for the big win. Don't be a dummy. But it is what it is. Sure. And then you have Duvall, who's like hey, maybe I can listen to her and I can learn something and I can do something.
Yes.
So you got to like the mix there, because there are levels of involvement that are different. But yeah, and we get it. We get a quick character build on all three of these people to kind of just show you the idea of, and I assume they're not Montreal cops, like city cops. They're like a state police or provincial police.
Right.
Because they seem to have a greater jurisdiction. So it's never really said in the film. But to your other point of Mr. Costa, I'll give you credit. Ethan Hawke, he plays that sketch guy so fucking well. You know what I mean? He's not Joe Cool. He's definitely sketch guy. You see him in another crime drama and he's that same sort of guy.
Yeah.
In Training Day, he acts cool, but he's not cool. And he talks about the amount of blood and the trauma of the incident, and you empathize with this dude. You're like, fuck, this poor fucker went through some shit. And it was more to the idea that, he's just a chameleon. He assumes what is around him and he plays it to the hilt because he's a fucking genius when it comes to that shit. He had solid human reactions, stuff that you and I relate to and would say, that's what I would be saying if I had been involved in this. And it's a total error, but he even fooled the profiler. So you got to respect it because it is rock solid.
Tony, something you said about, relating with this character of Duvall. So this is what we were missing in Magnolia. We didn't care about the characters, but already
any of them.
But the character building in this movie is so good. Like by the end of the movie, we kind of know who all these characters are. They've given us enough backstory and enough character building into their personalities that we can relate with these people, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Unfortunately, I think that we lose Kiefer Sutherland in the mix.
Yes,
sadly.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, this cast, for not a lot of money per se, even in $2004, we have a kick-ass cast.
Tony, but just like in Seven, who do we get coming in at the end to be the big surprise? Crickets right there. We get Kevin Spacey. The big actor that comes in at the end, and you're like, holy shit, it's Kevin Spacey. In this one, who do we get? It came on, I went, is that fucking Kiefer Sutherland? They're going to give him a 10-minute role in this movie? Holy shit. So it was exciting for me, but it was so much like Seven.
I think the difference there is that the width and breadth of the plot was not as well fleshed out in this movie as it is. Right. My other thing too is that Kiefer Sutherland really wasn't that level, I think, at the time. You know what I mean? Where Kevin Spacey is an Academy Award winner.
No, totally.
Kiefer Sutherland isn't quite there.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from. Absolutely.
For a part that was going to be so small in the movie, they didn't have to go see Kiefer Sutherland.
They could have picked a local actor for that job, but instead they took him. And sadly, he just doesn't get enough time to really portray who he is.
Normally, when he's in a movie, he's playing a big part. So I just thought it was nice to have that trimming. And that's
I think that's also the misdirection is that they're it's Kiefer Sutherland, so he's going to have this huge part, and he doesn't.
Yes. You also mentioned the scene of the graveyard when she's laying in the grave. That brings me back to how this movie was shot, because a movie that's shot really well, you don't really notice it. You don't think about it. A movie that's shot really badly, you do think about it, but in a bad way. And then a movie like this, where you get these really stylistic shots that stand out, like the way they did that side view of Angelina Jolie. It was so beautiful. It was almost like Vampire. It was really great. And there's other ones, like when they're going through the clubs and the camera's janking around and moving around and giving you this frantic feeling. I really love the way this movie looked. It was shot great.
First off, I like janky handsome, and I'll be using that going forward.
We might have created a new social media term here, baby.
Janky handsome.
That's a winner. You just janky handsome.
Love Gina Rowlands. I love her. I thought I wish she had a little more screen time, because I really like her. One thing that they did that I really enjoyed was I like how, when she was kind of, talking with Ethan Hawke's character, how they actually stated that she noticed how he's left hand, the killer's left-handed, but he's using the lighter with his right hand, or whatever, or vice versa. And then the analogy, or not the analogy, the comparison between a normal person's brain and a psychopath's brain, how different they are. I wish, and I agree, the movie was shot beautifully. I wish they had gone into more character building with her character, because I still feel kind of like, and I'll get into it later, but I feel like I didn't care enough about her, as much about her as I should.
You're talking about Jenna Rowlands?
No,
about Ileana Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the interesting thing to me, and I actually had this thought while I was watching it, this felt like a second or third movie in like a series of movies where Ileana Scott was the main character. So we knew about her from movie one.
Yes.
So they don't bother by movie three.
Like
so
an
it
Alex
felt
Cross
like they
thing.
just jumped over that stuff. Exactly.
Right.
Like an Alex Cross or
I agree.
Patricia Cornwell type of story where you already know the protagonist, so they don't bother giving you all their backstory. And it was like,
I agree.
where is it though?
But we did get some. She talks about why she's
It's so small.
But he doesn't leave it out completely. It's not like a complete drop ball. Mikki, you talked about how Ileana describes the mind of a killer and how it's different from a normal person. I thought the director, as he was building this story, was always keeping things, like using things that he would bring callbacks to. We're going to get some great exposition later in the movie that's going to bring Ileana's character into question, and it's a callback from this. And I just think this script is really, really tight. I think it's really well written.
I'll concur with you. I think the one thing, though, that I have to falter on is that she says he uses a garrote to strangle his victims. And she goes, he used left-hand pressure. The point is that one fact is what you base your entire fucking kind of composition of who the killer is. Well, it can't be him. He drew with his right hand. People are ambidextrous, lady. And not only that, but let's be real. That should not be the sole fucking thing you base who the suspect is or is not on.
Yeah.
But, we're led to believe that because she is, super cop, she's going to be able to mentally dissect this guy. And all of a sudden she goes, nope, I made the pronouncement. He's A-okay. And boy, are you wrong, lady.
I can see this from two different angles, though. One, so they make a point of showing us that she notices everything. She notices everything. She notices things that the normal person doesn't notice, right? And they actually say it a few times in the movie, like, is there anything you don't fucking notice? She's like, no, I notice everything. She's a savant. So we have to assume that she knows things that we don't know. She's now been looking at this case for a few days, and she's starting to make a profile of who this killer is in her head. And we're just led to believe she's like super cop. That's why she's there. So I see that. But at the same time, I want to look at it from Mickey's point of view, where it's like this character comes in and out of focus. Now, they're going to set up that she's going to have an affair with the killer later in the movie.
Costa.
So yeah, with Costa. So we have to kind of have to believe that she thinks he's not the guy, because as serious as a cop as she is, if she even had a suspicion that he was the guy, she would not do what she did. And the movie couldn't end the way it does. So you have to suspend your belief a little bit. But Tony, I totally get what you're saying. And I think you have a point. And Mickey, I totally get what you're saying. I think you have a point. But I think that the writer thought it out enough to where he could defend either argument. And that's all that matters in a movie like this.
And to his credit as a writer, he wants you to keep being surprised.
Yes.
Being, the whole impact of the change of direction of the script.
Yes.
The change of direction. And then the revelations of what you learn because of those change of directions. You're like, fuck, you got to keep your head about you when you're watching the film, or you're going to miss stuff that's.
Yeah. But Tony, you do have to keep your head about you when you're watching, so you miss stuff. But at the same time, it's very easy to digest. The exposition isn't like, it's not this heavy exposition you really have to follow.
It's not grossly overcomplicated.
Yes. You can understand it just by casually watching it and enjoying the movie without like feeling like you're about to take a test. You know what I mean?
Right. And to the idea, like Seven is a heavier film on subject matter, but Morgan Freeman's character does such a great job of quickly explaining what the fucking 7 deadly sins are, the background about them, what books are related to them. I mean, that script is next level shit compared to this, which is, not bad, but it's not
7.
Fucking,
Right. It's not 7. But it's a nice.
Nor I think does it try to be, because it wants to give you a plot twist, but it wants to keep you focused on what's going on without the depth of it.
Yeah, I felt it was just a tip of the hat to 7. It wasn't a ripoff. It was just enough for me to say, yeah, this guy saw 7 and put some landmarks down to write his movie.
Right on.
The police follow a lead on the man in Costa's drawing and find a gross apartment filled with plastic-covered furniture and moldy food. There's also a bag containing trophies taken from a victim up in the ceiling. And, oh yeah, a dead body. Meanwhile, Mrs. Asher rushes off a ferry in fear and grabs the first police officer she can find, claiming that she's just seen her dead son, Martin, but he was very much alive. She explains to the police that he's a very bad man and was violent before he disappeared, and she believed he died years ago when he got hit by a car, but she's very sure she has just seen him as an adult. At the mother's home, Ileana questions her about her son, learning that Martin was unwanted as a child who became unstable after the death of his favored twin brother. They exhume what they believe to be Martin's body and realize this is not Martin. Meanwhile, the police are watching James Costa, and he approaches Ileana in a coffee shop, asking her questions about the investigation and being generally charming. So first of all, the body in the ceiling was a great jump scare. It got me. I wasn't expecting it. But there's no way that a seasoned detective and an FBI agent didn't notice the smell of a dead body. I don't care how many deodorant things you put in the tub. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone else felt this, but I was getting... So I wrote this before Des stole my idea.
Oh, stole my idea.
Yeah. You stole my idea. I'm not sure if anyone was getting this, but I was getting 7 vibes at this, especially at this point, because you feel like this feels like the guy with the Christmas trees hanging from the ceiling.
It's the same thing. It's the same hallway from 7 too. It's the same set that was used in 7, the hallway.
And I also just wanted to point out that when Ileana gives Costa her phone number, she writes Scott in the phone number. And I thought it was interesting to me that she's trying to keep it professional at this point. Scott's her last name. She's Agent Scott. She's not Ileana to him. And I thought that was an interesting moment, because I feel like she was already kind of feeling soft towards him at this point. But
that's a good observation. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, you also have to think, like, when you're a female in the FBI, and this is 2004. So female in the FBI, you have to put up as many boundaries and as many fences as you can to keep that at bay, because
like with the wedding ring, he's like, oh, does Mr. Scott blah, blah, blah? She goes, oh, I just wear that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
putting up fences. It's actually a flash to Jodie Foster's character when
Yes.
she's talking to Jack Crawford and saying,
Mhm.
you know, it's a male-driven world, and she's trying to get the deputies to leave the funeral parlor so they can do what they need to do. And they look at her like, "Who the fuck are you?" You know?
Yeah, good
So-
call.
She says to Jack
absolutely.
Crawford, "It matters.
It
The way you
matters.
talk to me and the
Mhm.
way you talk about me
Mhm.
matters." And
Absolutely.
the funny thing is that is also the other movie that I saw flashes of in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, it is not the same caliber, not even by a
No,
long
no,
shot.
no.
But like Seven, I believe that there's homages in here.
And they're all
Sure.
and they're all subtle and they're all really good and they're all picked from great movies, which is why this is a good movie. So in the first scene in the diner, Ileana ruins Paquette's breakfast by showing him crime scene photos, right? And this is a nice callback to the previous scene of her eating dinner alone while looking at the crime scene photos. So this shows one that Paquette isn't as seasoned and numb to this kind of police work as Ileana is, right? Because he can't look at it. It affects him. It also is going to play later in the movie, like I said, where we're going to have to start questioning, does her brain work right? Does she have the temperament of a killer? You know, or is she just so numb to her job she's okay with it? But we'll get into that because the director actually gets pretty deep into this question. Next at the apartment, Paquette shows the landlord two pictures at once, right? And he picks the sketch, presumably eliminating Costa as the suspect. And I thought this was weird. You know, proving that Scott is a super detective because, you know, she's also eliminated Costa, but I thought it was clever that they showed him both of the pictures at once. So I guess we're not really sure who the landlord was saying yes to, were we? Or were we?
No, he was pointing to the sketch.
He was.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think she was taking the opportunity to have the picture of Costa behind it because if the landlord said, "Hey, this guy, I've seen this guy around too," it would have been like, "Okay, hold on." But he never said anything about him. He was just like, "Yeah, I've seen."
It was
this
weird
guy.
though, because he kind of just brushed his finger across both photos and said, "Yeah, that's him." So I was like, "Well, which one? Is it him or is it him?" Like he never like pointed and said, "This is the guy." And I thought it was very clever for the director to give us both pictures so we could kind of second guess that. I mean, even if it was a little obvious, if you're trying to break this case down, you got to ask the question. Next, Scott notices a very small break in a ceiling panel. And I had to believe at the moment that the killer broke off that corner so the police would find the body and the evidence. Whether that was the case or not, I thought that it was a fun breadcrumb for the director to drop so I could say, you know, did he do this so she would find this bag and this body there? Why would he leave a corner broken like that? It's obvious he could just push the tile up. Why would he let a tile be in that exact spot with a break in it? Why not move it with a whole tile so no one would find it? So I think the tile was broken purposely so that they would find the body eventually. I also believe that Scott knows this and realizes now that this is a game of cat and mouse, much like in the movie Seven. And finally, we get the diner scene. We get some more great character building here. We learn Costa's backstory, but this is a misdirection. We find out that he's a good-hearted man. You know, he sent money back to the guy for the door for the art. He's a humanitarian. It's all bullshit. And he sells her this she sells her this and she fucking eats it right up and gives him the phone number. And that's it. He's now in her head and he knows it. He's taken the upper hand on it.
Easy for you to say.
But this is where we get into Mickey's what said. This character comes in and out of focus. But then you're making my head spin because then we got to go to fucking Silence of the Lambs, where you take this super strong FBI agent that's bulletproof, that suddenly is charmed out of her pants by a sketchy dude, and the character starts coming in and out of focus. Is she super strong and impenetrable, or is she going to be fucking a little soft and let this fucking man in and kind of disrupt who she is as a professional? So I really like this. Mickey.
I like the scene where she ruins their breakfast, and I think that says a lot about his. Is it Paquette? Paquette. His character, because he comes across like all badass and Mr. Business, and I'm the best cop in the world. But then they get the call and they're like, "Oh, we finished breakfast first, no?" And she's like, "Fuck that!" Like, no. So I really like that.
That was a wonderful French accent.
Fuck that.
No, the part before it. We finished breakfast first, no?
We finished breakfast first, no?
Because Olivier Martinez is one of my favorites, and he's always a shithead, but that's all right.
Again, I didn't notice that when Dylan brought that up about writing her last name down or whatever. I like that. I didn't notice that, but you're right. It does come across as like, okay, here's where their line is. I'm going to give you my phone number. However, it's it's me, the cop, giving you my phone number, but me, the woman, kind of wants you to have my phone number too.
Yes.
And this is where I think, to me, and I'll get to it later on as well, because there was a big part that I was like, they needed more character development with her.
They did.
And I really like what you said, Dylan, about it feels like she should have been like this may have been the third movie with her character, and we should have learned some other stuff in another movie. That's a really great way to put it, because I didn't know how to word it, but there was something missing in her development.
Yes.
I do like her character. I do like that she's, comes across as very, no nonsense, no bullshit. And I like the way you can see him manipulating her mentally.
Yes.
Because it's very subtle. Again, he's super subtle in the way he does things, but he's really good at it. So I like the way that I like the way that the director showed that, and the way the actors portrayed that. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. What was nice about Ethan Hawke too is he kind of has that same vibe that the kid had in the beginning. Like, not a bad looking dude. Like I said, a little janky, handsome, mousy, very innocent feeling, not threatening. Right. So it was very easy for the director to
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, to lead us off those breadcrumbs.
And he's excellent at victimhood.
Yes.
That's his fucking crutch that he can keep relying on, because she portrays him as a victim.
Yeah.
So he even makes fun of it at one point, like, "Oh, I'm in the bar and I'm trying to lure the killer in, and I'm just a victim."
Yeah.
And he's totally got her wrapped with that shit.
He's got everybody wrapped. The other cops, me, you, everybody.
Right. Yeah, because they were like, "Hey, we pulled this because it's too dangerous." And he's like, "Well, I didn't even meet the guy. What do you mean dangerous?" He's like fucking with him.
He's such a sociopath, though. He spent this entire life, impersonating other people. So for him, it's very easy to play that victim personality, because he doesn't have a personality.
Just like acting.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, really good.
I think the quick thing, she's not seasoned, she's hardened. And there's a difference, because seasoned means you're used to something, but it's just because you do it every day. And to her, it's the idea that she doesn't become repetitive. She becomes the killer. To catch the killer, you have to kind of become the killer. You think like the killer, you act like the killer, and then you have to think a step ahead of the killer to be able to catch the killer. So that's a definite kind of mental quandary position to be in.
I like that, Tony. Hardened. That's exactly the word we're looking for here.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. The other thing with the ceiling tiles, again, you gave me that nice idea of maybe he broke the corner off. I think, unfortunately, we have to suspend reality, because a body wrapped in chains isn't going to be supported by some fibrous ceiling tiles.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Ask my wife. She hates me for this, but I go, that's not fucking real. Come on, man. And especially
not even 5 minutes into the movie, and I'm like, can you just believe for 90 minutes? Just believe.
Yeah, she's yelling at me. But that's why it's dysfunctional date night, honey. Anyway, they pull the jaws where a Hooper is diving, and he's investigating the wreck where this one fisherman is eaten by the shark, and his head pops in and his eyeball pops out. And that is what happens basically, where this inanimate object all of a sudden goes boom, and like falls out and scares the shit out of everybody in the room. So I think, Dylan, you said it's a great jump scare, and it is, but it's the idea that he wouldn't just fall out. He would fall onto the bed, okay? Because that's way too much weight to be held up by this flimsy fucking ceiling tiles.
Yeah, not to mention that this body is decomposing, which would
Yeah.
have left circles and stuff on
yeah,
those
yeah,
ceiling
yeah.
tiles and everything else.
When you pass
so-
away, you purge yourself of all fluids,
Mhm.
if you will. So, not a pretty sight to say the least. And I concur. I don't care how many fucking urinal mints you leave in the shower. That shit is gonna stink to high heaven.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it would just be like mint shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mint scented shit. Right.
When I was
making me
I
hungry.
used to live in this apartment with a bunch of people, and we had this bottle of citrus air freshener. So after you would poop, you would spray it. And I had one of my roommates come out once and be like, "I can't take the citrus anymore. We have to stop doing it."
Citrus.
Yes, because it doesn't eliminate the shit smell. It
No.
just masks it somewhat.
It was
and it's
citrusy
worthless.
shit.
What are we-
like
Yeah,
they were just like, "I can't even eat an orange anymore because it makes me think of shit." I'm
What
like, "Ew, gross." Okay.
What are we mixing
Yeah.
our shit with down there right now? It's lovely.
Sea salt maple.
Ooh, sea salt maple shit.
Ooh.
You've got to try it. It's really nice.
The best. I'll give it to you one way. If you've ever been in a place with a decomposing body, that is a smell you'll never, ever forget.
Tony,
Okay.
don't do it
And
again.
it is-
Don't do it again,
It is-
Tony. She had
it
to.
is so strong and so it's a graphic smell, if that makes any sense. My favorite too, they do allude back to Silence of the Lambs too, where she is in the coroner's office, Ileana, and she dabs the Vicks Vapor Rub to
Yes.
put under her nose, which is a straight rip right out of Jodie Foster.
Yep.
The only thing is that Angelina Jolie is too sexy in this movie, so you don't see the little white smears like she's just been snorting cocaine all day. It's more to the idea that they're translucent on her face.
Yeah.
But it is definitely taken right from that, and that's done for the absolute reason that smell is just overwhelmingly powerful.
For anybody joining us the first time, Tony is a retired police officer, and he has told stories on this podcast before that Delin has had to completely edit out of the show. Okay,
Sorry, Delin.
like horror stories where she's like, I can't let this go out. This is like horrifying.
I think that our what would we really call it? I think that our fortune may be tied to my graphic story ability, only because as long as they're talking about you, who cares if it's good or bad? And you just want to get the press,
Tony,
right?
I would have let some of these stories go out, but there was.
Well, I appreciate that, Des. Thank you.
No, the one about the hanging guy. I was like, nope.
can't
I was
do
like,
it.
I can't.
Oh God, you got so graphic. I could smell the body from here. Okay,
Nothing personal, but that stuff never leaves your mind. You know what I mean? I'll die with that image.
Oh.
So.
Ileana returns to Mrs. Asher's house once she is in protective custody at that hotel and finds a hidden secret passageway leading to Martin's secret room, where she is attacked by a hidden assailant who escapes before she can identify him. Ileana deduces that Martin targets his victim to take their lives both figuratively and literally. He wants to live as someone other than himself. He kills them and lives in their lives until he's ready to move on. She believes that he killed his twin and killed people between Matt Soulsby and the current stretch of victims. She also believes that Asher is now targeting James Costa. After Costa's office is ransacked, the police devise a sting operation that fails when no one shows up to take the bait. However, later, a man does attack him during an art show. The detectives lose him in the crowd, but now they believe that they know what Asher looks like. The police prepare to move James out of town, but he is confronted by the assailant who attacks him and kills his police escort before driving away with James at gunpoint. Ileana gives chase and causes the car to crash and explode just as James manages to escape. James visits Ileana's hotel room where they make passionate love surrounded by gruesome crime scene photos, and James pops a stitch, literally. This love scene was really fucking awkward. It really was. I did not care for it. It always irks me when the woman is naked or mostly naked and the guy looks like he hasn't even unzipped his pants. It's like he's like in his jacket still. Like he's wearing like a down jacket. It's like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Not to mention, to me, this felt wildly out of character for her. I feel like even if she was interested in him, she would have taken this a little slower. That's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
And of course, the crime scene photos thing is weird, but that was not the part that I took the most issue with.
Yeah. So when they go to interview the mother, we get another kick in Paquette's balls by Agent Scott. She reveals to him she also speaks French, and she's been in on all this bullshit the whole time. And I fucking love that. This guy really reminded me of David Mills, Brad Pitt's character from Seven. Arrogant, thinks he's one step ahead, but he's really two steps behind. Just a fucking dipshit, really. Next, we get Martin's backstory. And I'm immediately thinking Martin killed his brother Reese, which he did when they were children. I thought it was a nice touch to the script, kind of telling us why this guy is the way he is. This scene in Martin's bedroom, this one created more questions than answers for me. It made me start, it just really made me start asking questions. We're getting all these little stick figures. We're getting Martin up above the bed. And then we get this great jump scare. And again, just like in fucking Seven, when we get this glimpse of the killer, when he gets, he jumps out in the apartment and there's this quick chase and it gets, frantic for a second, but we don't actually get to see who the killer is. I love this shit. I wish at this point we had gotten a little bit more of that, but it was really good. The full breakdown of our killer and why he does what he does from Ileana, really good. Paints a great picture again, makes this killer more interesting to me. I really love the way she just spoon-fed me all these facts. I didn't have to pay attention. I got it 100%. Great writing. Next, Agent Scott's backstory. Where we learned about her killing a burglar at 16 years old. Mickey, it's not enough. It's not enough. But it does set up, kind of like in Silence of the Lambs, why this person is who she is. Good character building. Very easy to identify with these characters. And finally, for me in this section, we get the sting in the nightclub. I love this sequence from this killer dropping of the napkin with the note on it. You know why we didn't see somebody drop it? Because he fucking wrote it on the napkin. It's so cool. It happened when the camera looked away, not when he looked away. And I think that is amazing fucking writing. Lots of fun. We got that unsteady camera work that I was talking about when he's confused and he's stumbling to the bathroom and the camera's stumbling with him. Really puts you in the shoes of Costa. I just thought it was great. Had a really nervous feel. Next, the great Kiefer Sutherland as our potential killer. What could be better? Well, let me tell you what could be better. Okay? How about a nice action-packed car chase that ends with our prime suspect dead and even more questions than answers? I will say I immediately at this point suspected Costa as a person of interest, but Agent Scott strangely doesn't see it the way I saw it. She doesn't see any possibility of foul play and promptly fucks this guy. This is where I feel like we get our first hole in this script. It didn't jive with the character of Agent Scott. For me, I felt like this was just outside of what I would expect from this character at this point. It was a little wonky in a super tight script, but I'm okay with it because, like I said before, I think this actor can explain away any of these problems if he wanted to, Delin.
So I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but Paquette comes to the hotel. Paquette, whatever his name is.
Affleck.
He comes to the hotel that night when she's with Costa, and he says, "Can you ring her room?" And he says, "I'm sorry, I can't. She's got do not disturb on." And they make a point of showing his fingers, and he's got like a little folded thing. And I couldn't tell if it was he had found it somewhere or that he had it and they were trying to tell me this is the guy. So for a half a second, I was like, oh my God, he's the killer. He was going to kill her and leave that in the room.
This is a 100% red herring. This was put there just so we would all say maybe he's the killer. And it was fucking super effective. There was no other reason to put that scene in except just to give me more detective work to do, which I did. I was immediately like, he's the killer. Tony, were you thrown off by this?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the way you phrased it, more detective work. It's to the idea that at the very least, you're thinking, what is he doing there and what is his motive, right?
Yeah.
Well, did he just want to go say, I apologize for being a douche for the first 2/3 of the movie? Doubt it, but it's possible.
No.
Or is it like a piece of evidence that he had to bring to her at whatever hour and then for whatever reason decides to just reconsider and goes, nah, forget it. No big deal. I'll see her in the morning or whatever. But, it's to the idea, too, that she is a double kind of whammy for Paquette. She not only says to the two detectives, Duval and Paquette, I'm going to do this by myself. You guys stay here. Kind of like, I'm a female. I'm going to, associate with this woman at a much better level. I'll interview her by myself. I don't even want you two fucking knuckleheads in the room because you're going to wreck it. And then number two, she springs the French reply to him. And if the guy was a detective worth a shit, he would have known that she's obviously been there before. Her and Claire have a decidedly open relationship to the idea that they know each other. They're well acquainted with each other. And that's your boss. And if you haven't picked up on the fact that your boss called this person on purpose and he knows her and he knows her skill set, what the fuck are you doing as the underling? Maybe you need to go back to patrol.
He did not see himself as the underling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're absolutely right too on this sex scene. It's awkward, it's contrived, it's unfounded, it's silent, and it's bad. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but janky handsome doesn't get you Angelina Jolie.
No, it does not.
In a desperate moment.
No,
that ain't enough, bro. You got to work fucking harder than that. I think Delynn said very nicely, she would have been a little slower, more like 2 miles an hour, because this guy is not all that in a bag of chips.
And honestly, I was insulted by the breaking of the glasses because I'm assuming it was supposed to be like push the glasses off, they break on the floor. But he hits them so hard, and they're just sugar glass, obviously, because they know they're going to break them. So he hits them so hard, they break on impact. And then he's like got her leaning back on them. It's like, you're not going to lean back. Like, you'd have cuts all over your hands. She'd have cuts all over her back. It's like, don't insult my fucking intelligence. I don't know. For some reason, it just irritated me. I think I was irritated by the whole sex scene.
Yeah, I think they were trying to show like their lust for each other was so strong that it didn't matter if she's, got her ass on broken glass. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what it was intended to do, but I think it fell short.
Yes.
I think the best part about the sex scene was her in the morning with the blood stain on her going, what the fuck? And I was like, this guy's dead.
Yep. And
he got
stabbed
you thought
in the middle of the night while she's there sleeping, and now they're trying to set her up as a killer.
No, what I think that what the director was trying to make us all think was what I thought was that Pasquette, the other detective, had snuck in the middle of the night and killed him to make it look like like you said, to make it look
set her up
as
a potential suspect. Sure.
Yes, it was a great red herring. It really was. It worked perfectly. I just want to also say that he made a point of making sure that we saw that those murder scene pictures were still taped up above her head. So she's on her back looking up at these while she's having sex. So we've seen her look at crime photos while she's having sex, while she's eating dinner. I mean,
in the tub,
relaxing.
And again, she metamorphosizes into this killer. Let's be honest.
Yes.
She solves her crime by essentially assuming the mantra or the personality or the mindset of
getting into their
skin. That's perfect, Tony, because that's the MO of our killer. So when this callback comes and he says, we're really not that different, he's right. They're really not that different.
Right.
I wish they had shown flashbacks of his childhood.
Me too.
And the relationship with his brother and his mother. I think that would have helped. That would have been amazing. By the way, that freaking house she lived in, loved
Mikki,
it.
That is, you just hit the fucking grand slam, bottom of the ninth in the World Series. You are so right. That actor from the beginning of the movie should have had cameos throughout this movie.
Yes.
Showing, instead of giving us the exposition of his past, we should have seen that scene where he drowns his brother and we see what really happened that the mother didn't know. Oh, God.
Agree. I really wish they had done that. Also, to me, I feel like the scene in his room, his childhood room or his secret room, to be perfectly honest with you, it was a jump scare, but I didn't think that was necessary at all. I think that scene could have been left out completely.
I liked it. I liked
it as well.
We needed some of that.
Ethan Hawke is strong enough to punch through a mattress.
Did you look at it though? It's actually not a mattress. Yeah. It looks like a medieval torture chamber because
why would he even? To me, like, why would he even risk going back there? Do you know what I mean?
But it's like straw. Because let's be real, dear. He's a psychopathic homicidal killer, and he does incredibly weird shit because he's still mentally that little kid.
Did he punch through it though? I just saw his arm reach around.
Yeah, if you watch the scene where I believe it's his right arm comes up through, you can see the straw that she is kind of laying on with this kind of haversack
I'm fine with
whatever.
it.
And that's what I thought of when I saw it. I said, this is a medieval torture chamber because this guy was basically locked up there. You know what I mean? Because he was not the golden child kid. He was the whatever.
I wish we could have had her during the interview say, "Hey, let me show you Reese's room. It hasn't been touched since he died." And we open the door and it's like, the Golden Boy's room. Everything's in place. It's really nice. And that would have really given us that, that AB when we got to see what Reese's room looked like, or whatever the fuck the kid's name was. Royce.
Martin.
It was Reese.
No, Reese, you're right.
Reese.
No,
Reese,
Reese and
Martin.
Martin. I would have liked to have seen the contrast between the two rooms.
Yeah. I think flashbacks would have been amazing.
And to Mickey, they were necessary. I don't know how that didn't happen. This is a huge drop of the ball by the director.
And I think Paul Dano was underused.
Yes. Agreed.
Mickey, we should have got flashbacks not only from Martin, but also, like you said, from Scott, from her childhood as well. We should have seen that scene.
Yeah.
Humanized her as a child, being hugged by the police officer after killing this man, being hugged by her father. It's going to be okay. Missed opportunity.
Yep. Well, and you get some foreshadowing kind of, actually it would be reshadowing, I guess, because she's back in her hometown in Carlisle. He forgot how, because he's arrogant at the end and he's going to do what he wants to do. And he forgot that she's got, fucking balls. She's got chutzpah.
Yeah.
And she's not just going to let him run shit, even though she looks, vulnerable and whatever. He forgot the background story on her. And then when he goes to the house, she's got him fucking snared in her web. It's game over. So.
Yeah.
The next day, as James's stitches are repaired in the hospital, Ileana is called to the morgue where Mrs. Asher is unable to identify the charred body of the assailant. Ileana wants to question her further, but before Ileana can reach her, the woman leaves. She enters the elevator and then is confronted by James, revealing himself as the real Martin Asher. He kills his mother, and Ileana is shocked to see him covered in blood in cutting off her head before the elevator doors close again, and he escapes into the hospital. The police determined that the assailant killed in the car chase was Christopher Hart, a drug addict and art thief to whom Asher owed money. In the struggle in his apartment, Asher killed Hart and staged being taken hostage. Pursued by the police, Asher escapes by train and selects his next victim, taunting Ileana by phone before disappearing. Admitting to having consensual sex with Asher, Ileana is fired from the FBI. 7 months later, Ileana is living alone in a desolate farmhouse in Pennsylvania, apparently heavily pregnant with Asher's twins. She is confronted by Asher, who declares that they can start over and live together as a family, but Ileana refuses. Enraged, Asher beats her and prepares to choke her into unconsciousness, seizing a pair of scissors from her when she defends herself and stabs her in the belly. Ileana stabs Asher in the heart with the same scissors and removes her prosthetic pregnant belly, explaining for the past months was all a carefully planned trap. He dies, and Ileana informs Leclerc that the ordeal is now over. So initially, I really hated the ending. I'm thinking this is an FBI agent. Even if you're pregnant, you don't become you're getting all worked over. You're tough. You have basic fighting skills. You don't need the gun in order to protect yourself. She took the guy down in the basement pretty handily, despite being taken by surprise. So this rang untrue to who I believed her to be. However, the reveal did redeem it to me. She spent 7 months gaming this guy. Good for her. This movie gave me the Seven vibes. So I really was expecting Gina Rowland's head to be in the box instead of the lamp. And I will say also, I was a little disappointed in the misogynistic bullshit that happened after it is revealed that she had sex with Asher. Paquette slapping her was really out of line. When you watch, what was the movie we were talking about? Basic Instinct. You have a cop that's literally engaging in an affair with a woman that he thinks is a killer, and nobody's going around and slapping him.
Right. He's a man.
Where,
okay. So
yeah.
Well, and it was a little different time.
It was, but still, it made me go ew.
So we cannot gloss over this. Okay. The final scene of 7, a box is delivered. There's a head in it. Final scene of this, a box is delivered. It's the same size as a head. We're meant to think that this is going to be the head. We just are. I was like, until we're watching the end of this, I go, fucking mom's head's in that box, but it's not. But that's great. The director knows what he's doing. He knows if we're watching this movie, we probably saw 7 and we're going to get it. And it was great. So we're going to get the final act, and I'm just going to go through it. So just bear with me, because this is how I saw it as I watched it and how quickly my perception of the movie and the ending changed. So Agent Scott goes from guarded all business female to giggling goofy sex toy for Costa. The doctor, when he's getting his arm stitched up, he says, "Oh, you popped some stitches." And Costa gives him a wink and goes, "Sure did." And it's like he's winking like, "Yeah, busted a banging her." The camera fucking swings over to Scott. She's blushing and giggles. And then as soon as the doctor leaves the room, she starts like passionately kissing him in the doctor's office. Like she wants him to throw her up on the table and do it right there in the office. She's all over him. It's completely out of character with what I've seen up to this point. Then we get the big reveal in the elevator that Costa is, in fact, Martin, with this horrifying shot of him beheading his mother in front of his new horrified girlfriend. Yikes. Great scene. I thought it was super gruesome. Next, we get Pesquet assaulting a female agent with a hard slap to the face. There are no consequences. Nobody says anything. Not even the fucking chief, who is friends with Scott. It's not believable. That's assault in any world, any movie. He would be fucked. He would be like, "You're going home for the day at least." But nope. Everyone's like, "Yeah, slap her again. It's whore." Grossly misogynistic. Next, we get Kiefer Sutherland's story and how he fits into the plot. And because I was so confused at this point, I'm like, who is Kiefer Sutherland? What? And I was doing that thing where I'm like, did I miss something? No, you don't have to pay any attention. It all comes together. He spoon feeds you who he is, and I loved it. We get this phone call between Martin and Scott where he describes her as having killer tendencies. And by her own words in the interaction of Costa and her earlier, she absolutely does. She eats cooking murder. She sleeps looking at murder. She fucks looking at murder. And it doesn't affect her at all. Where Paquette couldn't eat breakfast. He saw the pictures and that was it. It was over. He was not going to fucking eat that breakfast. He couldn't. Next, we get this great montage of how Martin set everything up. This was so Usual Suspects. This is the end of Usual Suspects where he's running through who all these people are. Kobayashi. I was watching it unfold. I was wildly entertained. What I didn't love, though, was how the writer completely ran a train over the character of Scott. First, she's rubbing the shame away next to the toilet with a washcloth. She's slapped by Pasquette, whatever his name is, for, and then she's fired for being a dirty pirate hooker. She's pregnant. She's barefoot. She's bearing Freddy Krueger's bastard child. She's driving a shitbox blue Ford truck. Like, they just tore this character down to dirt. I did not like this choice because it ruined what could have been a final act. But this is where it all comes together for me finally. I was ready to just blow this movie out of the water and say, they fucked the ending, they fucked this movie. But no, they did not. We get our helpless little lady barefoot in the kitchen, getting her ass kicked. And just when I was about to give this movie a 0, it totally redeemed itself. With the best twist ending ever, giving the character of Ileana back her credibility as the smartest woman in the room, and without breaking down the character of Scott, this twist would not have hit as hard as it did. I was offended. And then the fucking director gave her back all her power. She was 2 steps ahead of this killer the whole time. She set this whole thing up knowing he was going to come get her. And she fucking at the end kills him. Duh! I liked it very much. I hope you all made it through that. It was a lot. Tony, final act.
Okay.
Final act. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Just don't do it again.
Okay, I will next week.
All right. Got it. So, Des, my real question to you is, tell me in your alternate ending, you've got a contrivance even more wild, crazy, and over the top than the one we saw.
I don't. I've got
Damn it.
I've got a good one though. It's not bad. I mean,
I was counting on you this week, but that's all right.
All right. Here's the thing. all I'm going to say about this is this is where I think, like in the hospital the next day after they have sex and whatever, this is where I think the overacting comes in. Because to me, they hadn't developed her character enough. Like there's a scene where she's got to go. And so she gives him like a little kiss, or they try to kiss and she kind of smiles like shyly, like hee. Like, I don't know. It was weird because they wanted to show like she was really liking this guy, but to me, again, they didn't develop her character enough to warrant that kind of like thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To me, it was just very awkward and out of place. I will say that the scene in the farmhouse, you know, I agree with you with the box. I was like, ooh, what is in the box? Like, what's going to happen? And that farmhouse needs some work, by the way. And
she had like 7 stoves. It was very strange setup.
It was a very strange I don't know if that was supposed to be the one she grew up in or what, but I like how they gave you, because when I saw that scene, I felt isolated. I felt cold. That was a really good scene. They did a really good job with that scene. And you know, the placement of the farmhouse and the weather and her, you know, putting the tea on and changing her clothes and when the first time I saw this movie, whenever he stabbed her in the stomach, I literally jumped out of my fucking chair. That was like some Game of Thrones shit right there.
I said it to Lynn when it happened. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I'm like, I don't want to see this. It doesn't make me feel good.
That was harsh. And also I had a feeling, like Dylan said, you know, when she was super like pathetic and mousy and you know, not able to do it. I mean, granted, there wasn't a lot of character development with her, but you knew she was a hard ass. You knew she was tough. You knew she was smart. She was not going to tolerate this. She was not going to be completely flustered and fucked up by some guy coming in threatening her life, because it happened to her so often when she was an agent.
Right.
So I did like that they had her kind of redeem herself. And I love that you know, she had been playing him for 7 months. I wish they had. I kind of don't like how it just ended. Like, I wish they had maybe gone into a little further and like, hey, did she get her job back with the FBI? Hey, did she? You know what I mean? Like, what happened after that?
Well, the director calls her and kind of feels like they're making good. Like, it's like, you know, like almost like this was like a shadow operation, you know, like,
right.
You know what I mean? Because he kind of.
Well, it made me wonder, was she really fired?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Was this kind of like a shadow operation? Mikki, perfect example. Another really great missed opportunity. You know, if we'd had that scene in the house when the burglar came in, it could have shown how she was very familiar with that house, familiar with maybe some crawl spaces that Costa wouldn't have been familiar with. You know, a way they could have tied her familiarity with that farmhouse into getting the upper hand on him and killing him. It was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Tony, final act.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. The juvenile behavior between the two of them at the hospital when he's being stitched is way out of character for both of these characters, if you will. Just out of character for them, if you will.
Yeah.
He's a practiced sociopath who doesn't have time for giddy behavior. You know what I mean? That's not his MO, and it's certainly not hers. And it's just, I don't know. It's not well done. I understand why they did it, because it's a human reaction, but both of these people are somewhat different than that. You know what I mean? They don't have normal human reactions because they're on the edge. You know, they walk the line. So little weird there. I do love that Costa has to kill the mom, right?
Yeah.
He sees her in the elevator and he knows the jig is up. He's like, fuck it. I got to get rid of her now because I'm tired.
Yep.
And it's weird that he didn't do it before in the film, only because of the idea that she is the bane of his existence. And you know, I can't believe that he went off and left mom alone for 20 years or whatever the span of time would be, and never came back and settled the score with her, because I think he blames her for everything that's wrong in his life because
So
he was that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think that what happened was she sees him on the ferry and he realizes the jig is up. So he goes to kill her.
Yep.
And that's why they put her in protective custody, because now they know that she's gone to the police
Yep.
and she's talking. And they say at one point, he came in through a second story window.
Mhm.
Nothing else was open. Nothing else was broken. So he came in, and he probably came in right around the same time that Ileana did.
Yes.
So, maybe right before her, and he hides under that bed and is waiting
Hey,
to see
did
what
you
she
guys?
does.
I wanted to say this too. Did you guys notice in the scene where Paquette goes to the hotel when she's having sex with Costa that he has taken a little piece of something like and tied it into a little shape?
Yeah, it's a coffee stir stick that lots of people chew on when they're nervous, and it's the idea that in that scene at the apartment there are stir sticks tied into the shape of men.
Yes,
And he just kind of does one knot,
Yeah.
which could just be, that's
Anybody
the way
does
he
that.
gets
Okay.
rid of his frustration. But
Gotcha.
it's the idea that, it's a direct link. And it's, again, it's another little crumb they
Misdirection.
throw at you to fuck with your ass
Yeah.
and make you think. And even to the point, like, he wears a beanie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not fucking cold out because it's summertime in Montreal, but it makes him look like a hood. You know what I mean? It makes him look like he doesn't look like a cop. He looks like a fucking criminal.
Totally.
And it's like, dude, what are you wearing a fucking beanie for? It's the middle of summer in Montreal. What are you thinking? So, I give the writer a lot of credit because he contrived these situations where your brain has to really tear it down and go, what is the real motive here? What is the real whatever?
Right.
But, even to the point that I don't think that Costa gives a shit about mom talking to the cops because, again, she talks to him and guess what? They're still on the wrong track. They
Yep.
still
Right.
don't realize who the guy that she's naming is. So, it's hard to put together. I agree too with Mick. You did a great job because you commented while we were watching the film that, boy, that house needs a lot of remodeling. I think it all builds to the idea that she is affected by him, right? She's lost her job. She's back in Pennsylvania. She's now pregnant, and you see her in the general store / post office. She's a happy, bubbly person. She's smiling. She has a brief conversation with the post office worker who says, you should go home. It's really cold out there. And she's like, fuck do I care,
Yeah.
Almost to the point of, she's like, I'm just waiting to reel this asshole in so
Yeah.
I can finally kill him.
Yeah. It'd be here another
And
week.
even to the point where he finds the guns scattered around the house. But it's like, to her, she's like, I got you. You took all the guns because I left them hidden in places that were easy to find.
Right.
Right? I didn't try to conceal anything. I just made you feel better about finding them when my whole intention was to, whatever. Strangle you, whatever.
I said to Delenn, I go, is she going to pull a gun out of her vagina?
Honestly, though, she could have pulled one out of the pregnant belly. He made a hole
Yeah.
in it. She could have just reached her hand and been like, boom.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but the best part too, this guy deserves more than just a quick gunshot. I was actually surprised at the ending that it wasn't a longer and more involved death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even to the point of, they show Duval get killed and he is surrounded with a pool of blood. This guy so much as, he gets a pair of shearing scissors in the chest and he doesn't even, he doesn't even have any witty fucking remarks before he dies or something.
Speaking of the scissors in the chest, that is not going to kill you the way it killed him. It hit him high.
Well,
it hit him
yeah.
high. It hit him like right below
It
the
hit him
collarbone.
directly in the heart.
No,
is the
well, I
inference.
looked. It wasn't even near his heart. It was up high.
You're a doctor,
okay. Okay, Dr.
It
Des.
was, dude, it was
Thank
up
you.
high underneath his collarbone. It might have punctured a lung. If he did die from that, it would have been a long, slow death. He would have been able to rip those scissors out and go after her. That was
I beg
a
to
problem.
differ, my friend. I beg to
Oh,
differ.
come over. We'll try. Okay.
Okay. I get the scissors first.
we'll shoot for it. Oh,
That's it.
God, paper, scissors, Spock. Okay. If you guys ever watched Big Bang Theory, they play a different version of paper, scissors, rock. I think they add Spock and one other
Lizard.
What is it? Lizard. So it's
Lizard.
paper, scissors, rock, Spock, lizard. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. We
Okay.
have broken down the movie Taking Lives for you. I hope that you guys enjoyed the discussion tonight as much as we enjoyed breaking it down for you. Now it's time to head over to the recasting couch, and I will get us started. I will replace Oliver Martinez as Pasquette with one
Paquette.
whatever.
Paquette.
Whatever. With one Colin Farrell because they look similar, and why not?
Okay.
Dylan, what do you got?
So I replaced Kiefer Sutherland with Edward Norton because Edward Norton actually looks a little bit like Ethan Hawke, and I feel like that was like his whole thing was like he was loving killing people that looked like him.
Yeah.
So it made more sense to me that he would have looked almost like that sketch, and it would have made it even more confusing because he actually looks a little bit like the guy that he was trying to pretend was Asher. I don't know.
Yeah, I will never
I just thought that was
poo-poo.
better.
I will never poo-poo Ed Norton.
I know.
Okay, there you go.
Period. That's it. Nice one. Tony.
Yeah, actually, I did Edward Norton as well, but I replaced Ethan Hawke. Had a brain fart there, only because he reminds me of the character opposing Tyler Durden in Fight Club,
Yes.
Yeah.
where he's living other people's kind of lives, if you will. So I thought of Ed Norton about 7 times while watching this movie.
Yeah. There you go. Mickey.
I would recast potentially Angelina Jolie with Diane Kruger for some reason. I just thought of her. She would be good in this role. And that I would recast Ethan Hawke with Cillian Murphy.
Oh, nice. That works
Oh,
perfectly. That's a great recast. I don't know who the other one is, but I love
Diane Kruger. She's she's more of a she does a lot of like indie films. She's I don't even know what you would have seen that. I
work
think
at the
only,
Whole Foods
like,
down the street from your house.
I think she's been in a few films that were popular, but yeah, she does tend to stay out of the Hollywood spotlight.
All right, it's time to head over to the alternate endings.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
Okay, I'll go first. So I stick with Martin and Matt back in the 80s. They would go on a killing spree that on the surface would be led by Matt, but in the end, it would be Martin that was pulling the strings. And in the final scene, the mousy sidekick would brutally murder Matt before getting on a plane for the United States, where he would meet a new flamboyant wild boy, played by Sean Penn, on the plane.
Of course.
Fade to black. That gives us
Matt Damon came in.
Yeah, that.
So it literally was a completely different movie.
Yes, it was a completely different movie. There you go. So, and it would usher in Taking Lives Part 2 USA. So there you go.
Wow, now it's become a B film.
It
Keep
has
going.
to win.
Martin does Dallas.
Martin does Dallas.
Sadly, with Des, there's always a huge sexual overtone with everything.
How about Martin molests Milwaukee?
Martin
There you go.
Oh, hey.
Fun. Wow.
I like it.
Oh, God. Okay, the lid.
All right. So my ending starts when Costa is accosted in the loft by Kiefer Sutherland. The chase happens as shown, and Costa and Ileana spend the night together. However, when they arrive back at the hospital, surprise, Duval's alive because he actually has a brain and he wore a fucking vest. He points the finger at Costa, as does Mrs. Archer, who just arrived, and he is taken away before he can kill anybody else. Fuck you.
Nicely done, Dylan.
Yeah,
I like that ending.
I like it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so we're not getting any more alternate endings, correct? You guys are more just the critics here.
Correct.
I was gonna do an alternate ending, Des. I'm sorry, but I enjoyed the ending enough to the point where I'm like, don't fuck with it. It's good where it is.
We don't all need to do one. Okay, in fact, I don't even think me and Dylan need to do one, but fuck it. We're going to do it anyway. Okay,
There you
that's
go.
it. Let's do some final thoughts and rewatch scores, and then we will get the fuck out of here because it is hot up in this bitch. I thought this movie was great. It had a great, nice twist ending, had good pacing, solid characters. So for me, this one is going to get a 3.9. It was almost in the 4s. It was so close. It was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I think I would have enjoyed it more as the kids in the 80s, but it was great on its own. Lynn.
I definitely had some problems with a couple of things here and there, but overall I enjoyed watching it. Like you said, it's definitely calling back to Silence of the Lambs and to Seven. And if you're doing that and you're doing it well without ripping it off, it can't be all bad, right? I scored it a little less than you. I gave it a 3.75.
I want to change mine to 3.75. No, I do. Yeah, I'm going to drop it to 3.75. You're right. It's not quite in that rare. It's close. So good. Tony. No changing your scores.
No, my score's staying. Number one. Number two, I thought that the film, unfortunately, I like Montreal, but it could have been Boston or Chicago or LA or any city. I don't know why they had to do that. And maybe just for the idea that, French Canadians are difficult. You got me. I don't know. Maybe the writer had a hard on for Quebec, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a little off-putting. I like the cast. I like the music. I thought the movie had good pace, like you said. It didn't get dry, didn't get sticky anywhere. Nope. I mean, there were a few contrived scenes, but they were necessary for the plot. I give it a 3.25.
Nice.
And I enjoyed it.
I'm glad I came down. Mickey.
I thought it was fun. I had seen it before. I love Angelina. Again, I think they, there's some things I wish they would have done more, character building, things like that. Tony made a good point. I don't know why they didn't do it in the States. Not that, every movie has to be in America, but
they probably saved a lot of money because it was cheaper to film in Canada.
Cheaper taxes. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but I thought it was well done. I like a good thriller. I like a movie that keeps me guessing. So I'm going to give it a 3.6.
Dylan, please add up those scores. Tell us where it lands. I'm going to look at a black Camaro tomorrow, Tony. I think I'm buying a black
bitchin' Camaro. I'm ran over my neighbor.
I'm buying a bitchin' Camaro tomorrow.
Good for you. Yeah, what year?
I think like 2015, 14, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So new body style. There you go.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be traded in for the said Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so it falls to number 59 with a score of 3.5875. It is right above They Live and right under My Cousin Vinny.
This is not as good as They Live. This is not as good as They Live. They Live is way better.
I agree with you. It's not, but it got a higher score.
Okay.
By a little bit.
Now that will wrap up this week's episode of Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? Because we came here to review movies. Because we came here to review movies and chew gum, and we're all out of gum.
Kick ass.
No, actually, we're all out of movies, so we're just going to chew some gum. Join us again.
Des, tell us what's coming this week on Violent Vinyl Radio.
Hold on first. Don't forget, come back in 2 weeks so you can hear us review the original Scream with the original flavored Tony. And next weekend, head over to our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, where we'll be breaking down Bang Tango's debut album, Psycho Cafe. So There you go. All right, guys, until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.